It is 11 o'clock. We kick off hour number 2 on this Transfer Portal Friday. Last day that we can legitimately say that, as the Transfer Portal will have a situation in which everybody, if you got to have your name in tonight, 3,870 FBS players have entered the Transfer Portal since the beginning. They have until midnight tonight to notify their teams. And before we get to Mike Rodak, Conrad, a name that we talked about last hour that perhaps Alabama was interested in, he has now come out of the portal to another SEC school.
Yeah, so we were telling you about some guys that were expected to be on campus today, and one that will not be anymore is Blake Purchase, the linebacker from Oregon, and it's not because he already signed a deal with Alabama, it's because he is going to Ole Miss.
So the Rebels.
They have purchased.
They have made a purchase.
As Purchase is coming out of the transfer portal. Joining us now on the Higginbotham Hotline to give us the very latest on Alabama's moving and shaking in the portal, Mike Rodak from Bama 247. Mike, Alabama's shopping continues as another player decides to go elsewhere.
Yeah, like you just said, Purchase goes to Ole Miss, and it's obviously it's been a little bit of a theme that there's been Alabama players that they've targeted and ended up going to other schools, and you don't want to necessarily make a blanket reason, but obviously money is, I'm sure, a big factor in a lot of those. Not everyone, but it's kind of the state of the business, if you will. Alabama is not at the top of the SEC in terms of ability to spend above the cap, and that's really where the difference is being made, because everybody has that the house money, the actual revenue sharing money, but it's how much can you spend above the cap with your NIL deals, and how creative can you get in stretching that, whether that's allowed by the College Sports Commission, that the clearinghouse that looks at all the deals, or whether maybe they deny some of those deals. I think there's a lot of creativity that goes on with other schools there, and Alabama's ability to kind of make that happen above the cap is more limited compared to some of the top spending schools in the SEC, and even outside of the SEC as well.
Mike, as the years roll on, and now with NIL and transfer portal, it seems like every single cycle becomes its own, and we see different trends and things that change. But for Alabama heading into this portal cycle, for you personally, as far as big-time elite guys, have they met the expectation, fallen short of the expectation, or exceeded the expectation?
In terms of what my expectation was, I don't know if they've necessarily fallen short of it, because I don't know if I was expecting them to be, super involved with all the big names. And, if people were, then I guess in that case, they would have fallen short of the expectation. But, for the reasons I just said, like I wasn't really expecting them to be in on a lot of these guys. I guess Cam Coleman was one that they were in on. But in general, like Jordan Seaton comes out of Colorado, or the Missouri defensive end, Damon Wilson, like guys that are really good, and there's a lot of competitive bidding for, like you kind of know off the bat that there's not a great chance that Alabama's going to win that battle. So that's kind of where my expectations were. And I think there's a general sense in that building that they had a pretty good season last year, that they made the playoffs, that they won a playoff game, that they had a really good freshman class coming in that they signed in December, and they want to build through high school recruiting. They want to get guys in the building and develop them, and that's where they want to put their money. They want to put their money into retaining guys, and maybe not so much into spending on free agents. So from that sense, I guess it's met my expectation in terms of what I was expecting them to do. And I wasn't expecting huge numbers in terms of portal signings, but if people were, then I guess, that would have fallen short in their eyes.
Mike Rodak, Bama 247, joins us here on the Higginbotham Hotline, talking a little transfer portal. So the shopping that will continue, where are the areas of need, in your opinion, that Alabama will continue to kick the tires on?
So from a standpoint of, you need guys who potentially can start, the offensive line is still the most glaring need on the roster. And you have one guy maybe in Michael Carroll that you feel pretty good about starting. I think you're projecting Jackson Lloyd, who was a backup left tackle, a freshman last year, to be able to start this year. We'll have to see if that happens. You're probably projecting William Sanders, who kind of rotated in a little bit with some of those veterans last year at guard, to maybe be able to start. You brought in Ty Haywood, who was a very highly recruited tackle that you lost out on to Michigan last year. He only played 15 snaps last year at Michigan. So if you're saying year 2 at Alabama, he's all of a sudden going to be a solid starter, like that's a huge projection. We'll have to see what happens there. Caden Strayhorn, the same thing. The Michigan interior offensive lineman did not play a whole lot of snaps last year. I think it was less than 100. The same thing. Like you can maybe pencil him in at a starting spot right now, and you kind of have to, probably at center, but it's a huge projection. You don't know how that's going to look. So the offensive line is by far the biggest need still, and there's still guys that they're in on. Ethan Fields, Nick Brooks, Rayson Delgatti. There's a couple offensive linemen that are visiting that they could sign, but you're kind of trying to piece that together. From a numbers standpoint, wide receiver is probably the most glaring need in terms of you just need bodies in that room. You like what you have at the top. You like Brooks, you like Ryan Williams, you like Syrian Morgan, Derek Meadows. You added Noah Rogers from NC State, but you just need more players. And the Yale wide receiver, I believe Noah Brown is his name, is one that's on the radar, but you have 6 right now, and 6 is an extremely thin number. I think you want to go into the season with at least 8, probably 9 receivers. So you need to add 2 or 3 more guys in that room.
Mike, what is your expectation as far as some of these guys and when they could be added? I know that the deadline is tonight for putting the name in the portal, but as far as these decisions being made, what is your understanding?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of guys are visiting this weekend. The dead period in terms of visiting is over because they had the coaches convention earlier this week, which is kind of silly that it's right now. I think next year they're changing that to February. So you were able to get guys in on visits, right now. And, they could sign right away. Obviously, the academic calendar becomes a factor because, classes at Alabama, I think, have been going on for a week and a half now. And so, if you're having a guy come in for the spring semester, they kind of got to get there right now and get into a class, a little bit late, but still, I'm sure within the time frame. So the academic calendar is kind of the biggest hurdle. If you get a couple more weeks later here, you're probably talking about a May enrollment. But, you can still, in theory, be signing guys out of the portal in February or March. There's nothing wrong with that. It's just that guys can't go into the portal after today.
Mike, in regards to the re-signing of certain players that were on the roster this year, can you give us a couple, in your opinion, on the offensive side and the defensive side that was paramount for Alabama to be able to retain their services?
Yeah, I mean, a guy like Lotsier Brooks, I think, was a big one because there's, I'm sure, going to be a lot of demand for a player who really stood out the way that he did. So that's one. Michael Carroll, obviously, for the reasons I stated with the offensive line, you have nobody else that you're really super comfortable about starting. So those were the guys who offensively had a lot of leverage, in terms of what they potentially could get elsewhere. And I'm sure Alabama had to kind of open the checkbook on that. Defensively, probably the same thing. Dijon Lee, I don't think they announced Zabian Brown, but obviously he's a player that right now you can make an argument he's your best player on the 2026 roster corner. So, in the secondary, Red Morgan, kind of re-signing him. I guess Bray Hubbard, I don't know if he was ever going to go somewhere. Yanze Pierre. So it's a long list. It's kind of we had somebody on our message board say, some of these re-signings are like, your mother picks out a toy that you already have, and she wraps it up and gives it to you for Christmas. It's like, well, I already have that toy. Like, we've had it last year. But at the same time, that's how college football is. You're kind of starting from zero every offseason now, and you kind of have to build it back up. So even though these guys were in the roster last year, I think it's still an accomplishment, something that should be noted, when they do re-sign a guy, because, these guys, some of these players certainly could have gotten really good offers elsewhere.
Mike, I wanted to take a second, get your thoughts kind of on the running back room, because obviously you thought you had a big new incoming name with Hollywood Smothers, but then he goes to Texas. You do have Xavier Crowell coming in from the high school ranks, who's very highly touted, but A.K. Deere announces he's coming back, Kevin Riley's back, Daniel Hill's back. I guess this coaching staff is looking at, hey, we just are planning on these guys taking a step forward this offseason and essentially running it back with a very similar running back room to this year, and Crowell is added to it, and that's it.
Yeah, I think that's kind of where it is, and there's not any indication right now that there's any running backs that are seriously on the radar. We'll have to see if that changes, but that's that's kind of the state of it. And I think it's obviously the offensive line is going to factor a whole lot into the running back room, whether you had Smothers or not. I think that's going to be the key to unlocking that room, but you still like the talent that you have there. And I think the big wild card was obviously Crowell. Him being very young, this was just his junior year of high school, and now he's in, he reclassified and enrolled early, in fact. And so, he's only going to be 17 this season, which I guess we have another season of, this player is only 17 years old, as we did, a couple of years ago with Ryan Williams, but that's going to be the case with him. And if he starts to really flash, which I think he's capable of doing, like, I don't know if you keep him off the field, even at his age. So that's kind of the wild card. But, I think you like things you got out of Hill at the end of the year. I think you kind of like the potential of AK Deer, and you just kind of take it from there. But at the end of the day, I think your offensive line is going to determine how good that room is, no matter who you have in there.
Mike, in regards to the numbers, Conrad and I, we were kind of putting pen to paper earlier this morning, trying to figure out, I know the SEC, you can go up to 105 now on your roster. You were on with us last week, and you told us you did not believe that Alabama was going to go too much higher than the 85 that they have had the last couple of years. Where's the math currently stand? How many more, unless nobody else leaves the current roster and enters the transfer portal, how many more additions do you think Alabama will need to get to at least get to that number of 85 or a little bit more above that?
Yeah, they're right around 80. I'd have to double check the number on that. And there's some guys that it doesn't really matter anymore, kind of the distinction between a scholarship and a preferred walk-on or a walk-on. It's all kind of the same thing now. So there's some guys that depends whether you count them or not. But you're right around 80. And so like I said, I think you need to add a couple more wide receivers. You definitely need to add some more offensive linemen. There's probably a couple other positions where, wouldn't hurt to add someone, but in totality, you're looking at somewhere in the neighborhood of 4 to 6 more additions would be my guess. Just to kind of get the numbers to where you want them. And there's no spring portal. So just like last year, remember you had the whole issue with the tight end room being very thin, and they went out and added 2. Can't really do that now because there's no more spring portal window. So whatever numbers you want for the season, you really need to get right now. And that's where I think, like 4 to 6 is kind of the range I'm expecting.
Mike, not that anybody would publicly admit this, but I am just curious from the people that you talk to, and you're around that program a good bit. And I know I'm kind of trying to ask an opinion to a reporter, but I am curious. Do you sense any type of panic around this Alabama football program right now in regards to trying to add good pieces out of the portal?
Not really. And I know panic's always kind of a trigger word. Everybody doesn't want to say that they're panicking, but like I said at the beginning, I think there is a general confidence in what they were able to do last year. I think they viewed it as a step forward. I think they like a lot of the players that they have and have brought back. I think they certainly like the potential of the quarterback room. And if you have a star quarterback, it does cover up a lot of things elsewhere on your roster. So, I do think there's a general confidence of where they are. I think there's also, again, kind of the realism of there's certain guys that they just can't go and get, and kind of wherever that leaves you mentally, whether it's like, oh, we wish we could have gotten that guy, or if it was just, yeah, we had no shot. I don't know. Like it's kind of a pick your path there, but no, it's a team that I think is going to be projected to win somewhere between 7 and 9 games based on this roster. I think this is a team that is going to really have to kind of bear down to win 10 games. So with a 9-game SEC schedule too this year. So let's keep that in mind. So that's kind of where you're at, and we'll see if they can be on the higher end of that range. But I think there's also a realistic potential that they're not, and this is maybe a 7 or 8 win team, and that's just kind of where it's at.
Okay, well, that sets up my next question. If this is an 8-win team next year, what kind of conversation are we having on January the 16th of 2027?
Yeah, it's a really interesting question, and I think it kind of goes back to how did the season go? Do you feel like it was a coaching problem, or do you feel like there are legitimate structural things with your money operation that would make it difficult for any coach to win at Alabama to the level that they're used to. So that's I think where the question would lead. If you're kind of going down the hypothetical of this team finishes 8-4, misses the playoffs, what does that mean for Kalen DeBoer? I think you have to ask yourself the question of A, is it worth paying the buyout? B, what sort of coach is going to come here next? Who can we get better? Are there better jobs for the best candidates to go to from a money standpoint? I think the answer is probably yes. And how much can we improve our money situation from an NIL, et cetera, so that the next coach would be in a better spot with the roster? So those would be the questions you'd have to ask. But again, it depends on, are you overachieving with the roster that you have? Are you underachieving? Are there games where, coaching can be questioned? Are there games where coaching can be lauded? We'll have to see. Look, I mean, after that East Carolina game, the opener, every single game after that, you can make an argument of how will it go. Even that Kentucky game, that SEC opener, September 10th in Lexington against a completely new Kentucky team, a very new Alabama team. That's a scary game 8 months in advance right now, just thinking of that. And that's just the first one. We'll have to see what happens after that. But it's going to be an interesting season, no doubt.
Well, Mike, taking a nap this afternoon. I know you're going to be up really late tonight watching the transfer portal at 11:59 to see who's in, who's out, what's happening.
Let's have a watch party.
Yeah, why don't Mike invite us over? Because he's got that great lawn. Remember, he's been working on his lawn. Remember
He's got
that?
Georgia.
Yeah,
we both got the Georgia in our
yeah. Kind of hang out in the backyard
well,
and
warm milk and cookies and snuggle up and get ready for midnight.
Yeah, that'll be a lot of fun. Mike, always a pleasure. We'll check in with you next Friday.
I'm serious. I don't have anything to do tonight. You guys want to
go hang out at Rodak's? I think Rodak's wife and kids might have a problem with that.
I'll be quiet.
That out. You'll be quiet?
I'll be quiet.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, nothing wrong with that. There's room in here.
Yeah. All right. Mike, always appreciate it. We'll talk to you next week.
You got it, guys.
Thanks, Mike. That's Mike Rodak. One of the best in the business, covers the Alabama Crimson Tide for Bama 247. You deserve solutions on that Higginbotham hotline. Higginbotham is your one-source solution for insurance, financial, and HR services.
Well, the good news is that East Carolina game, at least East Carolina's roster is getting pillaged. There's something to look forward to. I'm just trying to help.
I need a beer.
Somebody just texted me and told me to make sure that sharp objects have been taken away from Conrad in the control room.
I already took preventative measures for Conrad, but I think we're going to need more.
Gotcha.
What Mike Rodak just told us, your reaction on the text line. We continue. 11:22, Mike Rodak. A lot to take away from what Mike just told us, Alabama and the transfer portal. We're trying to find solutions for Alabama's financial crisis, apparently, in the portal, given some of the guys that they're striking out on.
Is that what we're calling it now?
It's the financial crisis in Tuscaloosa. Yep.
Well, I was just trying to get Conrad to give a little bit more money each month, as opposed to what he's doing now, and maybe they'll have enough money.
Your $20 a month, Conrad, could mean the difference in a kid from Carson Newman.
I mean, he blows
Or New
$20
Haven.
every day. He could take that $20 a day and put towards an offensive lineman at Alabama.
They don't pay my bills, so.
So
I'll figure it out.
one of the themes we've had over the last couple of days is what's going on with the quarterback situation at Tennessee and Miami. And these guys are not reporting that Tennessee and Miami are in the market for this young man, but I'm just going to read you directly from CBS Sports. They're reporting now that Duke has concerns that star quarterback Darian Mensah could enter the transfer portal. Mensah finished second in the FBS this season with 3,973 passing yards and 34 touchdowns. If you remember, he left Tulane and signed a lucrative 2-year deal at Duke. I was just telling Landrum during the break, you hope that some very smart people, Duke is a wonderful learning institution, and I'm sure they feel pretty good about whatever piece of paper that Mensah signed last year. But we mentioned it yesterday. There was going to be someone, a sitting quarterback somewhere, that they were going to be tempted to be in the transfer portal because Miami and Tennessee need someone badly, and they're going to overpay.
The details of these NIL contracts, a lot of times, just like our
we
contracts,
have no idea knowing.
But there is the belief that there could be the possibility of him getting out of that Duke NIL deal. But I don't know all the details, and it just mentions here repaying of money and forfeiture of future monies.
Well, one thing's for
But
sure.
maybe that offsets with the number that they're going to offer him.
Well, one thing's for sure. I definitely believe that Miami or Tennessee would probably pay whatever penalty you've got to turn around and pay Duke. It's just like buying out a coach's contract if you want to, want their services.
But if he's getting, and his deal was reportedly a 2-year, $8 million deal, $4 million per year at Duke.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're offering Ty Simpson $6.5, you're offering Sam Levitt $4.5 to $5 million. I'm thinking Darian Mensah now, and these schools are in desperation mode, trying to find a guy. He's probably going to go for $5.5, $6 million.
I would think so. I mean, he was second in the FBS in passing yards.
Yeah.
Almost 4,000 yards passing. I mean, he was the reason that Duke played for the ACC championship. So, yeah, I mean, that's
it's just interesting, Danny White's comments, and now.
Yeah, I mean, we telegraphed it yesterday. I mean, we've been talking about it, really all week long about once Tennessee swung and missed on Ty Simpson. And, of course, Miami's got something a little bit important going on Monday night. They've been, got their eye on the prize, but they're also trying to find themselves in a position of working things out and looking at 2026's season, and they need a quarterback. So now we're going to see if Mensah or maybe somebody else out there jumps in the portal at the last minute.
Seeing where LSU, Lane Kiffin, they picked up another offensive lineman. This is a flip from North Carolina, and it's Baylor redshirt sophomore Sean Tompkins. He flips to LSU.
So
6'5",
LSU,
310.
they have 29 commitments right now. 29. 1 5-star, 8 4-stars, and 17 3-stars. You remember last year when we were at SEC Media Days, everybody was bragging that they brought in 20 guys, 20 mercenaries that was going to put LSU over the top.
Mm-hmm. And it was impressive when you looked at the list.
On paper, sure. Just like it was impressive that Garrett Nussmeier was coming back. And then he sucked.
Mm-hmm.
So, everybody's going to have parades on these transfer portal rankings.
You think South Carolina felt pretty good with the guys that they had coming back?
Better
and
believe
Lenore
it.
Sellers? How did that go?
Lenore Sellers had a huge offer at Auburn and turned it down to stay at South Carolina, and look what South Carolina was this year. So, we will talk about these just like we do on National Signing Day for high school athletes, and then the proof will be in the pudding.
Since the start of NIL, look how Miami has spent. It's not like they just started spending all of this money, but this is the first year that it's truly paid off.
Mm-hmm.
So it doesn't always equate to immediate success or success at all.
So true. So I'm sure a lot of people in Durham and North Carolina are sweating it out right now to see if Mensa jumps in the portal before midnight. You know, when it comes to protecting your home or business, you need a roofing team that can truly abide by quality, and that's Abide Roofing. Abide Roofing offers tailored roofing solutions for every need. Your family home, your commercial building, whatever you got, they deliver custom work that fits your style and your situation. And the Abide group, they bring their A game every single day, and I saw it firsthand when they put a whole new roof replacement on my home. Safety first at Abide, using the latest tools, following the highest standards. Their work is built to last. I have the peace of mind of knowing that the very best crew that you're going to find anywhere in Central Alabama, they put a roof on my house, and the quality, the workmanship, the materials, all first class, first rate, and the warranties that they give you will give you the peace of mind. Ready to get started? Call Abide Roofing today, 205-577-7338. Go to their website, abideroof.com. That's ABIDE roof.com. They're insurance claim masters. They handled all that with me and my insurance company. Abide Roofing, 205-577-7338.
Now, the portal closes tonight. We'll give you the latest among SEC teams, including Alabama and Auburn. The Friday edition of Three Man Front rolls on.
Eleven 32 here on Jocks. If you missed any of our interviews so far today, we had a wonderful interview with Wimp Sanderson, Mike Rodak, just a few moments ago from Bama 247. Trey Wallace is going to join us at the top of the hour. John Talty, CBS Sports as well. at 12:30. Been talking about the Alabama Crimson Tide. They have 12 players that have come out of the transfer portal or preferred walk-ons that they have made their way to Tuscaloosa, Alabama. And very early in the process, there was a name that really caught my eye, and his name is Lorcan Quinn. And many of you have probably seen by now, he's an Irish-born kicker who has only been in the country for a year. He comes to Tuscaloosa via Marshall University. He's from Donegal, Ireland, a population of 1,122 folk. He was playing Gaelic football for a local club team while working as a fiber optic cable installer. He entered a kicking event hosted by a kicking instructor by the name of Tag Leader. He went to this, that's his name, Tag Leader. He went to this kicking contest because it was going to be a fun experience. It was not supposed to be a tryout because he was attempting to win tickets to the NFL game that was in Ireland. So he wanted to go to this contest. Okay, so from the event, this Tag Leader, who is a kicking instructor, he starts watching Lorcan Quinn kick an American football. This is a direct quote from this instructor. The dude showed zero emotion. He was kicking 58 to 60-yard field goals and didn't even know what it meant. 10 minutes into kicking an American football for the first time, it was pretty freakish introduction. End of quote. Now, Gaelic football is a national sport in Ireland. It's played with a round ball that involves running, jumping, and striking the ball. It shares similarities with rugby. It's also the same sport played by the New Orleans Saints kicker, Charlie Smythe. He went straight to the NFL despite having no previous American football experience. So he goes from Gaelic football straight to kicking, punting for the New Orleans Saints. Michael McQuaid, he is a sports correspondent for the Irish national broadcaster RTE. He caught up with Lorcan Quinn over the Christmas holiday. Keep in mind, this is before he came out of the portal to Alabama. This is Michael McQuaid asking the questions to the brand new Alabama kicker, Lorcan Quinn.
What's it like going from Donegal to, I'm not saying the sticks like in the US, but completely different lifestyle? How have you found it in the first year?
Just everything's different there, from crossing the road and people driving on the other side of the road. It's a completely different world out there. Like Donegal, small village, and everyone there, and then you go over there and it's just, everything's just supersized, like foods, roads, everything just supersized over there. Like,
you started the season off playing in Georgia Stadium.
Mm-hmm.
What was that experience like?
It's a crazy experience. So I only took to the field at one extra point and 2 kickoffs, so I was only out in the field 3 times. The first time being out there was, a feeling, it's hard to explain. I wouldn't say I was nervous now, but there was some sort of feeling there, and it was just a great experience, and I was happy I got a couple of runs out of that game, and that was a nice taster of what it was all about.
What do you think is the one thing you've picked up on that maybe you didn't expect from when you left for Rome just to go over there and actually learn the game more?
It's basically just about, you're out of the game the whole time until you're in the game for your one job, whereas you're playing football back home, it's like you're constantly involved.
Yeah.
If something goes wrong for you, you can go and try to get the ball again, but over there, you have one job you have to execute, and that was the biggest difference, is being out of the game until you're summoned into the game.
Did you ever in your wildest dreams expect to go over there in such a quick period of time and do that? Like, that's obviously an incredible achievement. Well done.
Appreciate that, and not off the bat. If you had told me that at the start of the year, I would have pulled the arm off to get it. Like, I just went out there thinking, like, I'm going to take every day to just gradually get better, and I had a slow enough start to the season. In the first 6 games versus the second 6 games, I made some adjustments and had massive improvements towards the end of the year, which probably then overall resulted in a good year. But like, I had some small learnings. By no means did I go out there and straight away I was the man, and I never expected it to be that. So
just finally, in terms of people's knowledge of the sport, we're looking at maybe a 7 to 9 month off season, but that's not the way it works at all. You guys are going out, early January again, yeah?
Early January, it'll be the first or second week of January, and it'll be just straight back to essentially training all year, and then you might get a week off there just pre-summer, and a couple of weeks off, pre-summer.
Yeah.
It really is a full year-round type commitment.
The best luck. Keep flying the flag, not just our flag, but Tyrone's flag as well.
Absolutely.
It's class to see. All the best over the next year.
Appreciate that.
There you go. The first audio of Alabama's new kicker, Lorcan Quinn. He's 24 years old. He put up some impressive numbers at Marshall. First team All Sunbelt honors in 2025. His season included 38 of 39 on field goals, extra points. He was 21 of 26 on field goals, 4 of 6 on field goals of 50-plus yards. He hit the second longest field goal in Marshall football history. He hit a 55-yarder against Coastal Carolina.
Yep. He's got a strong leg. I'm watching his highlights from this past season. Strong leg, and he makes it look easy. It looks almost effortless in his approach. I'm not an expert on kicker, but I was a deep snapper. The ball explodes off his foot for sure. I just wonder does Lorcan Quinn know the scrutiny and the microscope that he is about to be under at the University of Alabama as their place kicker? I think it's a valid question.
Well, the good news.
Well, if they go 7-5, how good do you have to be?
He might be the MVP if they go 7-5.
Talty was the MVP of the Rose Bowl.
Sure was.
Offensively speaking.
Talty redeemed himself.
He did. He didn't miss a single kick after he got booed.
Just get the booing out of the way early.
Mm-hmm.
The very first part of the interview, which struck me as odd, was the fact that Michael McQuaid, who is the sports correspondent for national broadcaster RTE, was talking about going over to the sticks.
Yeah.
He's coming from a place of 1,122 people.
It's a big city over there, Pat.
What are the chances that there's a group of Alabama students in the student section next year and they start a fan group for him? It's Lorcan's Leprechauns.
High. I would be shocked if you didn't see something like that.
I'm just giving you an idea if you're out there. I want to see that.
And if Connor Talty goes out there to start the year and misses a couple, then you will absolutely get that.
Lorcan.
So you think that they brought Lorcan in as a competition piece, or is he the guy?
I think he brought him in as a competition piece because I think we've seen that Kalen DeBoer is very loyal to certain guys, and I think that he's going to give Connor Talty every chance to hold on to the job, but I think he also realizes that competition makes everything better. Iron sharpens iron.
Connor, if you start off next year and you suck, we're going to have another option.
Yep.
If you don't get beat out.
Because I think you clearly saw in was it the Eastern Illinois game? I think was the game where he brought in the other kicker, and you could tell it was one of those, oh, you want to see who else we've got? All right, we'll put him out there, and you're going to realize real quick why Connor Talty's out there. He may not be great, but he's the best we got, and we're going to let you see that.
Lorcan Quinn, I got a feeling he is going to be
Pull in for you, Lorcan.
He's going to be a fan favorite in Tuscaloosa.
Maybe not as much as if they'd gotten, Booby Feaster, like those kinds of names and stuff that really
I wonder if
resonate.
Lorcan has been accepted by the Aussie punting community.
Probably anti.
Probably so.
It's a good question. Yeah, do they have a rivalry going on, like place
think
kicker
so.
versus punter?
Yeah.
Which one's more glamorous? Like place kicker, but interesting.
Obviously, Alabama's had all sorts of players from all over the globe, but to my knowledge, this is the first full-blooded Irishman.
Are you gonna get a Lorcan Quinn jersey?
He's in his social media. I think he wore 90 for Marshall, and I think in his social
He's
media,
wearing 90.
he had a 90 jersey for Alabama.
And for anybody who's going back to a couple of years ago about the kid that got kidnapped from Oxford, Ohio, Graham Nicholson, I can tell you
I was
that
like,
watching
wait, what?
watching Lorcan Quinn's highlights, he looks like a much different kicker than Graham Nicholson.
Yeah, I'll be honest with you.
Much more powerful.
Yeah, watching Nicholson, even at Miami of Ohio, when I was watching the MAC games on Tuesday and Wednesday night, I mean, no disrespect to him, but he was smaller in stature, and I just did not think that he had the powerful leg, but this kid does.
Well, there's some kickers. I can take one from back when I was college age, and it was Damon Duval from Auburn. If you remember Damon Duval, if you were ever in the stadium, you could just listen to a broadcast, listen to the sound when the foot hits the football. Lorcan Quinn looks like he's got that kind of power.
Well, let me tell you something. I went to high school with Philip Dole, who kicked
kicked
at Alabama.
Yep.
I mean, Philip Dole, he was one of the best athletes you'll ever see in your entire lifetime. He was drafted by the Chicago White Sox as a shortstop. He was an incredible baseball player. And then for Huffman, he played linebacker, he kicked, they lined him up on offense at times. I mean, he did it all. And then he ended up going to Alabama and had an incredible career kicking. But he had a leg.
It's those guys that line up for the 45, 47-yarder, and the ball is still rising as it hits the top of the net.
Yeah. Almost like watching like a really, really good golfer and watching that drive from the side and how it just continues to climb before it gets to the apex.
That's
So
why
I felt watching Ole Miss's kicker.
So I had that group that follows me every time I play.
Well, I heard that's the way Ty Richardson was when you guys played golf.
He was.
Yeah.
He offered to carry my bag. I was like, come on. It's embarrassing. Me and Conrad were schooling him. Conrad.
I'm glad you remember it that way. I am glad you remember it that way.
We will roll on this football top of the hour. We will talk to our good friend Trey Wallace from Outkick, John Talty, also next hour right here on Jocks.
$11:46 here on Three Man Front on this Friday. Happy Football Friday. We got the NFL playoffs coming up this week. Of course, Monday we got the big game down in Miami. Indiana taking on Miami. We're going to have wall-to-wall coverage beginning at 6 a.m. with Morning Jocks. Transfer portal today, the last day for entries into the portal officially tonight, 11:59:59. That does not mean that teams will not be continuing to add to their rosters. That just means that if you're a player who wishes to enter the portal, you better have your stuff submitted by midnight tonight. That being said, Oklahoma State transfer wide receiver Jalen Lloyd has committed to John Sumrall and Florida. Spent this last season at Oklahoma State after 2 years at the University of Nebraska. Played just 2 games, but everybody trying to add depth, and it looks like John Sumrall continuing to do that. No new news on Auburn, Alabama, but we expect additions to continue for both of those rosters for Kalen DeBoer and Alex Golish, respectively. 205-834-9450, the Jocks text line. It's always fun and active on a Friday, and our friend Faye, who loves her some Conrad Van Order, texts into the show. Random text from Faye. We usually get these. It reads, walked outside this morning to look for Nick, my Datsun, without a bra on. Won't do that again in this cold. That being said, JR, TakingVegas.com joins us. JR, how are you? You see what we get to deal with every day.
It's unbelievable. You guys got no idea what we deal with up here in the north. So here's what I'm doing, okay? I got a game that I'm telling you it's going to be a hands-down winner. It's in the NFL. You guys know how good my NFL is. I'm going to give it to all of the listeners free. All they got to do is text the word WIN. That's WIN to the number 545454. And you're going to get right away, right back via text message, the big winner this weekend. And I'm telling you, it's a mismatch. The line is off, and it's an absolute winner. And it's free. No strings attached. You're not getting a payment, link or anything like that. It's simple. You text the word WIN, WIN, to the number 545454. We're going to give you a big blowout in the NFL, absolutely free.
We got the big game coming up on Monday. We're talking the college game, of course, and with Indiana and Miami, it looks so clear cut. It would be easy to fade Indiana. Like, surely it's going to happen, right? They can't play this well, but I don't think I have the guts to do it. When you look at this Indiana Miami matchup on Monday, what do you see from that Indiana squad?
Well, first off, Indiana has played out of their seats, right? They have literally blown us away in every big game, especially it seems like they're getting better through the playoff. It's insane. Whereas Miami, they were not going to get in. It was supposed to be Notre Dame. That's what everyone thought. And finally, you know what? They got it right. They put the right team in there. And that defense, man, it's the only game I got wrong during the CFP so far, which was Texas A&M. That defense is just, again, same thing like Indiana's offense. It is getting better and better week after week. I mean, let's face it, they had to play more games. They're just – this is a team playing with a chip on their shoulder. And you're right, 8.5 points against that defense, man. That's a hard number to swallow. You know, that Oregon team was supposed to be able to put up points, was not about their defense. So, whether or not Miami's going to be able to show up and put it out there against the number one team in the country is a whole nother story. Now, look, we give out a free pick on my podcast every week, which is called the Bet Big Talk Loud podcast. You can get that on YouTube or anywhere you get your podcasts. Again, Bet Big Talk Loud. My co-host, Chris Hodge, who I do the radio show with on the weekends, he's got a pick on that game. So if you want a free pick on the Monday night big winner, all you got to do is check it out. Again, it's called the Bet Big Talk Loud podcast.
We won with the free pick, by the way, and everybody, if you've never listened to JR on the show, he gives us a free pick on the air. 13-5 so far this season, 15 straight winning seasons documented here on the show. And, oh, by the way, not only the NFL and college football, but he's really good in college basketball as well. But the NFL, we got the wild card weekend last weekend, with the exception of what we saw from the Texans and the Steelers, pretty entertaining games. Did it live up to the billing and what you expected?
Yeah, actually, I think it did even better. And even the Chargers game was a little soft. If they had any bit of an offensive line, I think it would have been a much better game. But nonetheless, I think we got way more excitement than we ever dreamed of. I mean, the Chicago Bears going down the way they did in the comeback in that fourth quarter, and to have Caleb literally make his head coach look like a genius. Because Ben Johnson, as much as I've been praising him this year, had some really bad decisions early on in that game. But Caleb came through in the end. He put the team on his shoulders. I was not a huge Caleb Williams fan coming out of school, and that's just because of the way he was crying on the sideline, just some of his antics. But, man, this kid is coming into his own, and he is really embracing, taking the team on his shoulders and being able to win at the end of games. I think he enjoys it, and you can see he's having fun. He's getting rid of the ball quick, so that's going to be a great matchup. This past week, though, man, the wild card did not let down. So many lead changes, so much excitement. If you're into the games like I am, I mean, this is what we live for. So, to say that the Chargers or even the Steeler game on Monday night was boring, because the Steeler game was real tight, real close up until the last 4.5 minutes of that fourth quarter. But still, all in all, just great games. Love the matchups. The NFL, if they are scripting it, they're doing a fantastic job.
Yeah, they are. And you're sitting there and you gave us the under on that game. That was your free pick last week. And I'm sitting there and it's 17-6. And then all of a sudden it's 24-6. Then it's 30-6. And you're thinking, okay, is this going to hold up? But it actually did.
There was definitely some clenching going on.
Yes, there was certainly some clinching. Is there one particular matchup, Super Bowl matchup? I know there's a ton of volume that's bet on it. But from a public perspective that you guys are dreading, that you don't want to see?
Well, it's not that we don't want to see. Like, I was asked to give my picks on the podcast a couple weeks ago as to who I think is going to go to the Super Bowl, and I hate that question. I really do. I never want to look that far in the future. I'm always about the here and now and this week. What's going to happen this week? It's hard enough to be able to get the types of things that we do, to be able to win the way that we do week after week. So to do it that far in advance is really playing chess. I will tell you that I do have, and this is going to sound crazy to most, but I had the Texans picked, to represent the AFC. And don't get me wrong, if the Bills and Broncos were playing on a regular week, that game would be a lot different. There's a reason why the Bills started out as a 1.5 favorite. Now we're a 1.5 dog. It's a tough spot for them. A lot of reliance upon their quarterback in this matchup on a short week against a team that's rested in Mile High without their best wide receiver. Josh Allen better have his cape ready, and I hope they have a phone booth on the side so that he can jump out of it and get it done. But, I mean, there are, I guess, the matchup that kind of throws me off a little bit when I look at this week is that Rams-Bears game.
Yeah.
Not that it really throws me off, but, man, right now I'm buying stock on Chicago, and I was selling on the Rams because of the way they played at the end of the season. But it's the Rams. They were the best team in football pretty much the entire season, at least in the NFC, against the super hot Bears team. But I believe we do have a grasp on it, and we're going to watch the number and the bets as they come in on that game. But, guys, do yourself a favor. Text the word WIN, that's W-I-N, to the number 545454. And I do have a blowout winner in the NFL playoff this weekend, and it's free of charge. You get it through text. Text WIN to 545454.
All right, quickly, your free pick on the air, 13-5 this season, 15 straight winning seasons. You're going Seahawks, 49ers.
I am. And you know what? The public is going to be all over the under in this matchup because of that Seahawks defense. The way they've been playing under McDonald has been unbelievable. But two excellent offenses. This is going to be more of a shootout. I love the over. Go over 44.5 in the 49er Seahawks. Again, over 44.5 is your free pick. But, guys, do yourself the favor of a game side. You get it free of charge. Text WIN to 545454. Landrum, be safe. Have fun. Guys, let's go out there and make some playoff money.
JR, thank you, my friend. We'll talk to you next week.
My pleasure, Landrum.
JR, takingvegas.com. Once again, the over in 49er Seahawks, your free pick. Over 44.5. You take it to the bank. Our buddy Trey Wallace. Any scuttlebutt, any gossip, anything concerning college football, Trey's heard it. He'll share it with us next.